Well, I'm joined now by a wonderful motley crew who are the best in the business when it comes to tipping dogs. So we're going to get thoughts on this year's Greyhound Derby in our final Star Sports Zoom room of the year. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining me. Such an exciting final ahead of us on Saturday night. I'll introduce you all as we come to you, but Lofty, I'm going to start with you, please. If you could just talk us through the betting for the final and how you think the draw has worked out for them all as well.
Well, I'll go with the betting first. So we originally went 9-4 joint favourites straight after the draw. Ballymac Fair won and Dearjet Sydney. We laid 9-4 Ballymac Fair won, so he's now 2-1 favourite. We've got 9-4 Dearjet Sydney, 9-2 New In Session, 11-2 Ballymac Wild, who I think is overpriced, but we'll come on to that later on. 6-1 Thorn Falcon and 25-1 Kalara Lion. I think the draw went ideally. Actually, I think I put a thing up on Twitter the night before just saying how people thought the draw might go in their favour and the ideal sort of draw. And I think other than getting Kalara Line in trap 1 and New In Session in trap 3, the rest were actually in the same order. So I had Dearjet Sydney drawn inside Ballymac Wild and actually Ballymac Fair one and Ballymac Wild drawn out in 5. So I think the draws worked ideally. I think Ballymac Wild will be quite suited by a 5 draw. I watched him run a couple of times over in Ireland, certainly around Tralee, and he went pretty straight, I thought, there from trap 5. So Ian will know him better than me, obviously, when he comes to Ian later on, but I thought trap 5 would certainly suit him. And at the price, I thought he was a bit of value. I had a few quid on him earlier in the week at 15-2. And I know Hobbsy asked me at the draw on Monday, if he gave me 20 quid, what would I do with it? I thought to myself, well, first I'll go to the bar, Hobbs, if you've given me a score, but I might have a 10 on Ballymac Wild at the sake of it at 15-2. So yeah. He'd be my idea, actually, of the winner. I think he's certainly the value price.
So you are going for Ballymac Wild, despite the fact that, you think he's the bigger price, regardless of the price, you think he's the most likely winner?
I think at the price, he's the value. I think, obviously 2 and 3 could tangle. One of them's got, if one of them gets loose, it's going to be hard work for the other to back run one or the other. I mean, New In Session, you see what they've done from trap 1 the other week. It's hard to rule him out, but everyone had written him off before last week's run. Maybe from trap 1 might see the best of him again, but can he possibly lead 2 and 3? I somehow doubt it. I mean, Kalara Lion, he's a superstar over here, and he's there on merit. I finished 3rd all the time, but he's not won a heat yet. It'd be, and what he can finish, I think, out of 3 really. This will be a first time a sort of finish in front. And Thorn Falcon's got a lovely draw as a sole wide seed on the outside, but again, to me, I think he's probably going to have to lead here, and he'll find that hard work, I think, in the with the early pace rounding. So yeah, on the value for me, I'm going for Ballymac Wild.
Okay, 1 vote Ballymac Wild. I'm going to add these up and see how we get on. Daryl Williams, RPG TV. I'm going to come to you next, please. What do you think of the final, and who is your winner?
I think it's a fantastic final. It's brilliant that we've got British runners against the Irish, of course. But you know what? I fancy it could be Liam Dowling's derby here. I just prefer actually Ballymac Fair one. You've got to remember he's extremely lightly raced, Julie. He's hardly had any mileage, and when you look at his best runs, they have tended to come when he's drawn in the middle. So I take on board what Lofty says regarding Dearjet Sydney, the possibility of a tangle. But when you're looking at these form lines, you've got to ask yourself the question: who is most likely to reproduce that run? And I think Ballymac Fair one, terrific run in the semi-final, very, very fastest greyhound on the evidence we got so far. But if I was going to save, and again, I agree with Lofty that Ballymac Wild, Liam's other runner, is probably the value option here because he's the strongest dog in the final by far. He should have the opportunity to get his run in. So for me, Ballymac Fair one wins. I'd probably save on Ballymac Wild, and I'd probably put the 2 in a forecast, and Liam Dowling all the way for me.
Wow, Liam Dowling 1-2 for Daryl then. Paul Millward from Bags Racing. What do you think?
Right, I originally very much like the idea of backing Thorn Falcon, but I've slowly gone off that. Although I do think he could go bang, and we know what he can do when he does come away. But just keep going back to Dearjet Sydney. He's just one of the superstar greyhounds. If he hits it, if he leads around the first bend, he wins. I can't see anything possibly coming from behind him.
Definitely a theory I can buy into. They're delighted with trap 2, the kennel. And how big an achievement do you think, Paul, if he were to win back-to-back derbies at different tracks?
Yes, that's it's what you dream of, isn't it? Back-to-back derbies within about 6-8 months. I've totally lost vision of you, so I'll just carry rabbit and on.
You can see you.
you know, it'd be in the history books along with a very select few as a double Derby winner. And you know, I really hope he does do it, because I think young Emma Buckley has been like an infectious person throughout.
Absolutely, absolutely, definitely my favourite Irish person. Ian Brindle, we're going to come to you next, please, from Sporting Live. What do you make of the final, and who is your selection?
Well, I think we've got a very decent final in truth, and looking at the options, Dearjet Sydney, for me, I feel that he's got his draw this evening, this Saturday evening. I think he's going to do far, far better than he did from box one. But I think if I'm going to be realistic, I've got to stick with Ballymac Fair One. I think as impressive as he was when he won last Saturday evening, I think the thing for me, looking back at his whole series of performances, so that third round performance, he proved himself a really, really jealous dog, didn't he, when he managed to see off Toolmaker Sydney at the first turn. Of course, Drumco Brent was coming at him, but he managed to hold on. So I have to say, I can't see past Liam Dowling and Trap 3 Ballymac Fair One.
Lots of votes for Liam Dowling, how much it would mean to him to win a Derby. Jason Barrisford, I know you're going to be there Saturday night, not working, just enjoying yourself. I might put you in charge of the beer runs out to myself, actually. But who do you think is going to win? Who are you going to be backing at Toaster?
Well, I'm already on Dearjet Sydney, and if I wasn't persuaded that I had a big chance on Saturday after hearing Paul Millward, well, how could I go against him? I mean, the price that he is at the moment, I think, as Paul was kind of alluding to, should he lead, who's going to pick him up? And is he 11-4 to lead? Well, New In Sessions in 1. And of course, they got recent history of him being in 2 and him being in 1 Easter Cup final night. So it was the same scenario. We had Ballymac Wild in 3 on that occasion, and Sydney went in, I think it was 7-2 that night. So it was a big, big prize. Emma Butler, I know it's all can sometimes get into the realms of superstition and that type of thing, but the fact that she said, you know, kind of missed it, had his miss, if you like, on Saturday in the semi-finals, I think probably bodes well. I think we know him well enough, you know, first round apart when he had that horrible draw, that he runs well from 2. I think he'll lead and hopefully hang on.
Do you think he tired a little bit coming home in the semi-finals, Jason? Would there be any concerns around that?
I think he was probably entitled to. I think most greyhounds are, and that would be more of a concern. And I know it was only 1 round less last year, but even so, certainly peaked in the final last year. I think that's for sure. And he's been trained by an absolute master. So I'd have no qualms about that.
Tanya Stevenson, RPG TV, thank you for joining us. Who do you fancy?
Well, I kept the newspaper cutting from the 28th of May with all the prices from the start. And amazingly, it is the finalists, the 6 of the top 30 in the betting. And if you went to the betting itself at the start of the competition, New In Session would have been the shortest of these to have qualified. Amazingly so. Second in of those would be the great Dearjet Sydney. And I'm going to have to go with Dearjet Sydney. He's a charisma dog. He's a fabulous dog. He's the defending champion, and he's carried that mantle with awe, hasn't he? And so too has Emma Buckley. She is a superstar, helped along by Dearjet Sydney himself. He's done brilliant performances. I have to respect Thorn Falcon, 6 from 8 at Toaster, and also Kalara Lion being that price is just silly. There is the winner of the East Anglian Derby, the Kent Derby, and he won the Blue Ribbon here in February. We can't forget that. And he's coming into himself again after being given a lovely break by Patrick Janssen. So I can see Dearjet Sydney holding off the Janssen's pair.
I think you just summed it up really well, Tanya, in the sense that it's a very open final. I mean, the votes so far are quite spread, but you can certainly make a case for all of them, can't you?
You certainly can, and that's the beauty of it. Is so much depth to the final. The strength, as I mentioned, the 6 of the top 30 in the betting have come through, and they are just fabulous greyhounds, and they've each posted a wonderful performance, if not won many of them. And that's even same with Kalara Lion. His placings have been awesome, but he carries into the final his CV, which is faultless. But Dearjet Sydney, to be there really lifts the final something extra.
It does, definitely. We need a vote for one of the English dogs, Thorn Falcon or Kalara Lion. So I'm going to come to Ian Fortune next. I'm sure his selection will be one of those two. Ian?
No, needless to say, I won't be tipping one of the English runners, but I do like the way the final is set up. I think the draw has worked out perfectly. It is brilliant to have Dearjet Sydney back, as Tanya alluded to. I also believe that you can study the dogs as much as you like, and I think it will come down to form because there's 4 master trainers there. You know, Patrick Janssens, Liam Dowling, Graham Holland, and Pat Buckley. They all know their business inside out. This won't be lost at the end of the lead. It'll purely come down to what dog produced the best probably start, because whatever leads on the corner may well win. I've battled my own sort of war in the last day or two since the draw was made between 2 and 3, Dearjet Sydney and Ballymac Fair One. I've ended up siding with Ballymac Fair One. He just does seem to be going the right way. 4-14 in the semi-finals. His best 2 starts have come from the middle. He has drawn trap 3. Dearjet Sydney certainly won't get in his way, and I'd like to think that he'll break on terms with Clara Line, and if doing so, should have a lovely pitch into the opening corner. I think it's a cracking final, but as I said, Ballymac Fair One for me. He's young, he's improving. He has it on the card. He's 29.08 and 29.09, which compares very favourably to all his rivals. Dearjet Sydney has a 29.13. You said there, Emma said he missed the kick last week. Well, his splits wouldn't suggest he missed it compared to the previous few weeks. I think it was just more the other dog went bang. And I think if Ballymac Fair One goes bang again, I think we're going to be looking at a dog for the future as well as for the present, because he's only June 19. He's so lightly raced. I think he's an absolute superstar in the making, and I think we'll see better from him in the future. But hopefully on Saturday night, away and gone for Liam Dowling. He deserves one. He went desperately close with Ballymac Vic, who I believe was desperately unlucky. And of course, Ballymac Taz was only beaten a half length by Price's Blake a couple of years back. So I think Liam Dowling is due an English Derby success.
Absolutely, and it would mean so much to him. So you've tipped Fair One, but I'm interested because New In Session, obviously, we've seen can break from 1. Dearjet Sydney has been breaking from 1. This is a box that there is still a bit of a question mark over. Now Dearjet Sydney has his perfect draw in trap 2. Whilst he might not take Fair One's ground, is that not going to be an issue for them as they get to the bend if Sydney comes out the way that we've seen him?
Yeah, well, we haven't seen it in this competition. That's the fear. He did save his best split for the final last year. He did a 4.91 as opposed to his best of a 4.92. I think it was in the second round at Nottingham. He did smash from trap 2 last year. I know it's a different track, but I think he's the type of greyhound you could bring him to Crayford first time out and he'd run it, or I think you could bring him the whole first time out and he'd run it, just because of his racing style. He stays tight to the fence. He's just a lovely balanced greyhound. I just think that if he does pop out edge to the fence, as he will do, I think Ballymac Fair One probably just has that yard more early speed. I think he's coming forward all the time. Like last week was pretty emphatic into the opening corner, and a similar start I think could see Fair One going around in front and perhaps lead home an Irish 1-2-3 for the 3rd year running. You didn't think I was going to mention that, did you?
No, I didn't, unfortunately. I have to get that in. Matt Newman from myracing.com, thank you for joining us. Can you put in a vote for an English winner perhaps?
Afraid not. Well, my racing followers are already in clover. I put up Ballymac Fair One anti-post over the competition. I see no reason to desert him. I think he's a young, improving dog, very, very lightly raced. Do I think I've seen the best of him so far? No, I think there's more to come. And if there is, I think he's going to be very big.
I mean, an incredible achievement for a dog so young to be winning a derby, isn't it? It's happened before, of course, but yeah, it's still a great achievement.
Oh, absolutely. For a dog with so few miles to look as professional as he did, the 3rd round, the quarter-final, things didn't go his way. He really dug in and showed an incredible attitude to go around with the engine that's under the bonnet.
Jim Austin, you always tip an English dog. Come on.
I won't let you down, Julie. I won't let you down. I think it's a cracking competitive final, as all the guys have been saying, and these are a really durable bunch. And I believe, getting first jump will prove decisive. But my ability throughout this competition to even predict the leader has left plenty to be desired. So if such a place even exists, I'm attacking the final from the left corner of left field, so to speak, with small ammunition using a statistical strategy. Exactly 50 years ago, seeding was introduced for the Derby, and during that period, 7 times has the final been contested by 5 railers and a solitary wide runner, as we've got this year. And historically, the Trap 6 runner has performed very well, winning 4 of them, so 4 out of the 7, running up twice and finishing 3rd on the other occasion. The 4 winners were Indian Joe in 80, Part Down to 81, Sun Picture in 97 and JT Jet in 2016. So on that basis, and we're looking for some support for the English, I can see some juice in an each way play on Form Falcon at around 6 to 1. But I would also play in, the view that Tanya put up by looking at the anti-post market prior to the competition started. And as Tanya rightly said, New In Session was the shortest price of all these runners. Not only that, Ballymac Fair One, who's now, disputing favouritism, was the outsider of, or the biggest priced one of all of these 6 runners. So, and New In Session was by far the highest Racing Post rated runner coming into the Derby of these 6 runners, almost 3 lengths faster than any of the other finalists. So I've got to have a saviour on a saviour even on New In Session at around 4 to 1, and perhaps a bookends reverse forecast for the icing on the cake. But yeah, Form Falcon for me, each way 6 to 1. The stats tell you.
Oh, I like that stat. Very good. Thank you very much for that. Paul Lawrence, you've commentated on every one of these races at Toaster. Who are you going to be calling home across the line on Saturday night?
Yeah, like Jim just said, it is wide open. It's wide open. I love them stats, by the way. I'm a bit of a stat man myself, and yeah, he was always going to end up with a good draw, Thorn Falcon. And I mean, listen, we hear bits and pieces. We all hear bits and pieces and different. Patrick was of the opinion that on Saturday night that it wasn't that brilliant on the wide. He walked across the track, and obviously, he had quite a few runners. And he felt that the outside wasn't running as well as the rails, and he's convinced that there is a smash in this dog. He's got a massive draw to work from, and I have to say, even on Sunday, I didn't think they were going well on the wide at all at Toaster. So there could be a theory. Now it could be the same on Saturday night, but he has got a massive draw to work from. I've listened to what everyone said, and we're all kind of the similar ilk that Dearjet Sydney's got a big chance. Ballymac Fair One's got a great chance as a young improving dog. As ever, myself and Ian have been doing some Derby work leading up to this, and we're very similar. However, he stole my thunder because Dearjet Sydney did indeed perform his best sectional at Nottingham in the final, and I cannot believe, Julie, that this dog hasn't broken 4-2-1 over the line yet. And I think he could easily get a decent quick away and probably do a 4-1-5, something like that, and that would enable him to lead. I do think that Ballymac Fair One's a massive runner as well. You can't I don't think you can discount any of them. I'd just edge with Dearjet Sydney, but I'm wondering whether, like a lot of people have said in this already, you kind of get sucked in with the kind of furore that Emma Buckley gives you, and she has been an absolute superstar. I actually met Liam for the first time on Monday, and you wouldn't begrudge Liam winning an English Derby after so many misses. But all in all, I just hope that we get a clear run. That's all I hope for. Again, financially, a bit like Jason, I've got only Dearjet Sydney running for me, but I have got a bit of a soft spot for the Young Pretender Fair One. So I think it's between the two of them. But again, Thorn Falcon can win it. I think anything can win it. So it's wide open. It's great for the sport. Great for the sport.
One name, Paul.
No, Dearjet Sydney. I've got to go with Dearjet Sydney, Julie, for the tip, yeah.
So we've got 4 votes. Dearjet Sydney, 4 for Fair One, 1 for Wild, and 1 for Falcon. So, just Jim Austin going with the English honour. I think we're all in agreement. It's a brilliant final, isn't it, Daryl?
It is, Julie, and I'm surprised that nobody's put up New In Session. Maybe we're all being made to look silly come Saturday. But I guess the burning question is, who do you like, Julie?
I'm between. At this stage, it's difficult not to go with your heart, isn't it? But
go on.
We need to know.
Dearjet Sydney, I can't see from trap 2 how he can be beat. In a way, I think he will. As I put the question to Ian, I think he will be a thorn in the side of Fair One. I think Pat will absolutely get his best break out of him on Saturday night. A trainer that I have a huge amount of respect for, as I'm sure we all do. But then, they say draws win races. And is Thorn Falcon the best drawn dog of the night? I don't know. So I'm kind of split a bit I know that's sitting on the fence, and I'm allowed to do that because I'm the host. It's all you guys that had to give the winner. But either way, I'm really looking forward to it. It's a terrific final. And I think whatever dog wins, we're going to have a true Derby champion winner, aren't we, Lofty? That's one thing that we can say.
I think it's one of the best finals. It's been a real good derby. I think strength in depth. I think also a lot to be said for the strength of the Irish challenge, and the fact they got 4 in the final. Thankfully, not the 6 that Mr. Fortune was gloating at one stage, but we managed to get 4. Thank God for Patrick Answers. We were saying we had to rely on the Belgian to get the English home, really, but there we go. But no, I think it's been, and the final I think is probably, in my memory, obviously, my long-term memory, one of the best finals I've seen. And I totally agree with most people who said it's wide open, and you wouldn't rule any dog out. Even if Kalara Lion won, you could sit there and think, well, look, the dog's won multiple cat ones. He's won the only all-age cat one, open cat one, went over the C&D at Toaster. He was there all the way along, sort of thing. So yeah, you couldn't rule any of the 6 dogs out and say, the best dog win, as everybody said, all come home safe and sound.
Absolutely. And may you all win as well. I hope the Derby's been kind to your bank balances. Thank you so much for joining us. I know everybody will enjoy watching this and hearing your thoughts, and it's certainly made me even more excited. So enjoy the final on Saturday night, whether you're watching from home or there at Toaster. If you're there, I'll see you there. And thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.